So now that we went over all the features and benefits and how to use the Omega sight, we're going to go over how to get this thing sighted in and how to get you stacking arrows in no time. I recommend a flathead screwdriver and a small Allen wrench. And what we're going to do is set the target up here at 6, 7, 8 yards, pretty close. And when you turn this Omega sight on, you're going to see that there's a red dot in the center of the screen. And that red dot is what your rangefinder works off of. And we utilize that red dot for our first sight, whether you're going to sight that in at 20 yards or 30 yards. A lot of times with a fast crossbow, we'll have that first sight set up at 30 yards, and I know I'm good, 0 out to 30. I might hit a little high at 15 or 20, but not really enough to make a big difference when whitetail hunting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this red sight, or the red dot, on my target up close, and I'm going to find out first where this thing is hitting, and then I'm going to adjust the sight so that we get it hitting as close as possible at that distance before we move back. All right, so I hit a little low and a little bit left. I was aiming right here at the center of the target. So we're going to show you how to make that adjustment for your right and left and your height adjustment. All right, so the first thing I want to do is adjust the height. It hit low, so to adjust your height, you're going to turn this turret wheel right here. You can see it here, it's right under the screen. Turning that turret wheel to the left is going to raise your reticle, which is going to cause you to hit lower. Now I want to raise my bolt, so what I'm going to do is turn that to the right, and that's going to lower the reticle so that I hit higher. So what I'm going to do in this turret wheel, there are little holes. I'm going to take a small Allen wrench, I'm going to place in that hole, and I'm going to turn this to the right, which is lowering my reticle, which is going to cause me to aim higher. So next, let's talk about left and right. You have your windage screws. They're right up here more toward the front of the sight, and you can adjust this from either side of the sight. I like to focus on this left side. So if I'm looking at the screen, the left side of the sight, if you turn that to the left, it's going to move your reticle to the right, which is going to make you hit further to the left. Turning it to the right is going to move your reticle to the left, which is going to cause you to hit further to the right. So it's simple. If you want to shoot to the right, turn it to the right. If you want your arrow to go left, turn it left. So I hit a little to the left, so I'm going to turn this to the right. All right, so now that I've made a few adjustments, I'm going to move the target back a few yards further. I'm going to shoot it again, see where we're hitting, and then make more adjustments from there. So my height wasn't bad there, but I hit a little to the right of where I was aiming, so I moved that windage adjustment a little too much. Now I'm going to turn this to the left, which is going to move my reticle to the right and cause my impact to be more left. So we got this thing pretty much stacking arrows now at 20 yards, hitting the bullseye. So we moved the target back to right about 30 yards. And now it's basically like sighting in the pins on your compound bow. So this sight has individual dots. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to short press the power button up here, or we're going to short press the R button on the remote. And then the M button on top, you're going to press that twice. And then once you press that twice, that takes you to your reticle movement. And you'll notice when you go to it initially, the top dot, which is the first one you're going to be adjusting, is blinking. And as that dot is blinking, you're going to use these arrows that are on the very front of the sight here to adjust that up or down. So I've got that pretty close. This crossbow's shooting pretty fast, so there shouldn't be a really big gap between 20 and 30. Again, I typically, when I sight it in at 30, and then the red dot at 30, and my next dot, the first white dot, I sight it in at 40. But for right now, just for explaining how to do this, we're going from 20 to 30. So once I have that set where I want it, I simply short press the power button on top or short press the R button on the remote. It takes me back to the range mode, and all my dots are locked in place. So now let's shoot this thing at 30 yards and see where it hits. All right, so we are dead center left and right from 30 yards, but as you can see, it's a little bit high. I think we tore our bolt up here. The fletching looks like it's ripped off. But now I'll go back to the crossbow. I'll go back into the settings, go through the same steps, get back to that 30-yard dot, and I'll move it up just a little bit closer to that red dot to bring me down a little bit. And then once I get that set, I'll go through the same steps. I'll go back to 40 yards, get that reticle dead on, then go back to 50, then go back to 60, then go back to 70, and we're set up ready to go. It's a really simple, easy, and quick process to get your weapon sighted in.